had lights in their town. So, in one of these road trips going from one city to another city, the roads in Colombia, they're very dangerous. They're usually up in the high mountains. And the road is very, very narrow, and the lanes, they're barely wide enough for their cars to go. So one time, very dark, very stormy, driving along the cliff, you got to a corner and there was a truck incoming. And usually trucks, they'll take both lanes. So he had to make a choice, and he either had to go straight into the truck, right? Or he had to drive off the cliff. And so he thought, hey, he only had a split second, but he chose to drive off the cliff because even if he drove into the truck, he would die. And what happened, his car, it rolled off the mountain. He fractured his neck, he was really bad. They found him the next morning, and these people that found him, instead of calling someone to help, they actually stole his stuff. They took his wheels, they took his wallet. It was very horrible. And it wasn't until a caravan passed by that he actually got some help. And so I see that I'm actually very, very lucky to be alive because my dad survived that.
You had 4 Us, but 2 of them were like baby Us, so you kind of caught yourself and you transitioned out. So
right.
It's 2.5.
Your volume was really good. Well, I guess I heard loudly, but from the content of what you were saying, it was very appropriate volume.
I like your variation of tone based on your content. When you said the truck was coming around, that was good.
So it's...
It was very, you had a very genuine tone, and it varied a lot
Yeah.
too. That just by itself caught my attention a lot more than anything else.
So I would say pros, first of all, solid eye contact.
Yeah.
You not only made eye contact with the front row, it was just perfect eye contact, I would say. Yay. Hand gestures, I would say, were very, very too. Like when you said the coal going off the cliff, you went like this. So you varied your hand gestures. Yay. Body movement, I would say that was really solid in terms of you did not pace, you had body movement, and you did it appropriately. Would you agree, Nick?
Yeah, I definitely said that because it's something I thought I was worried for you in the beginning because you're standing so straight.
Right.
But then you moved. But the good thing is you weren't shaking your legs at all. You were up there nice and confident. So that's very good, the posture.
Okay.
So yay for body movement too. But absolutely your tone was, I would say, just totally awesome, I think. It was very appropriate for what you were saying, and it felt like you were telling a story. So those are the pros.
I was just going to mention, nobody else had mentioned it. You had a very good intro, good hook. That's like something like that, I'm going to tell you a story about my dad, but it actually is going to be very much about me. Suddenly you're hooked into that. You didn't follow up on it, shame on you, but hook. So just wanted to point that out. Good movement, good eye contact. Maybe your hand gestures could be, I felt like you had a lot, but they were most of them were a little more subtle. And maybe make it a little bit more dramatic, ran off the cliff,
Right.
But that's just something you're going to have to keep it on. But very good.
And by subtle, when Mike was talking about was you kept your hands by your hips.
Yes.
So just notice that you were doing this a lot with your hands pinned over there. So what William wants is more up here and more out.
Right.
Yeah, for the purposes of this club, we characterize 4 different types of hand gestures. What we see mainly today are the inner hand gestures. I like to think of it as really 2, inside and outside, and each of those can be one-handed or two-handed. So we've seen a lot of inside, two-handed, one-handed. So dramatic are these right here. So reaching outwards, expanding other than just your center right here. So those are the 4 different types of hand gestures.
One thing you did really well from your speech centered around it was self-disclosure. I think you used it in a very enigmatic and very dignified way. So it's definitely
Okay.
I'd say maybe one thing was body posture. From back here, it looked like you were kind of leaning on one leg.
I don't know. I didn't see that. I saw more of an erect position.
Okay. Never mind.
I guess I felt a little bit tense, so very limited movement, maybe.
I mean, for me in the front, it didn't show. You stood nice and confident, so that always helps, and that helps you with your volume. Because a lot of times people are tense, they might slouch over, and then as Shreyas would tell us last week, when you slouch over, your head goes down, and you start mumbling.
Right.
Maybe it was me, but I felt like your facial. I mean, you were telling a very serious story, but I guess there were some parts that were maybe surprising that you could have shown on your face a little more. Granted, I mean, you don't want to exaggerate things that don't feel natural to you, but I did feel like you could vary your facial expression.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.